Hello and welcome to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters. Tonight, we'll chat with some of the ballot candidates eager to become the next City Council member representing City Council District K. 9 candidates are on the ballot, and all were invited to appear this evening. 7 have accepted, and each will be joining us shortly, one at a time, so we can have an uninterrupted chance to sit and chat and really get to know one another. Asking questions along with me this evening is Alexis Ruiz. He's a student at the High School for Visual and Performing Arts and a member of the Young Emerging Leaders and Scholars program at our sister civic organization, Mi Familia Vota. Before we get started, let's take a moment to review the basics. District K voters are heading to the polls to elect a city council member to fill an unexpired vacancy. Council member Larry Green passed away in March, and now it's time to elect a successor. The election will be held on Saturday, May the 5th. If you're not sure about your city council representational district, please visit www.harrisvotes.com to find where you are voting. And you can also find your polling location for Saturday's election. If you want to learn more about the candidates, we invite you to visit our interactive website, www.vote411.org. First tonight is candidate Larry Blackman. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. It's the League of Women Voters definitely has a great brand, Alexis, emerging. I am Larry Blackman. I'm a third-generation Houstonian, and I went to school here in high school. I went to Jack Yates High School, Lamar University in Beaumont, and Texas Southern University, where I graduated with a master's degree in public administration and urban and regional planning. Had a heavy concentration on policy and also the transportation. I served on behind two great leaders, and I was a team leader for what we call the tax increment reinvestment zones that we have today, which we call tiers, and also the light and speed rail. I serve on 3 city boards. Presently, I've been through 4 mayors already. I serve on the industrial board, the health facilities board, and also the higher education board. And what we do is a public-private venture partnership that the city partners with various entities, and we issue bonds in order to make it go. They're in series. And so with those series, we do that. I'm married, 45 years. My wife's name is Linda, and got 4 kids and 4 grandkids. And so Larry Green did a great job of laying down the blueprint, but it's time for us to take District K even further.
So you're no stranger to municipal governance.
Not at all.
Let me ask you about your philosophy of governance.
Okay.
What does the city council accomplish?
Well, the city council actually is run the city based on policy, whatever the city policy is that comes from our state laws. And so Houston is unique because it's a large city and it does not have zoning. And because of that, Houston's city charter, it's a home rule city, and the mayor, it's a strong mayor system. I've worked in the weak mayor system also, and it's kind of unique because it does provide room for growth.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the TERS conundrum.
It's
Do you like
tiers.
tiers?
It's tiers.
Tiers.
And the reason why I say that, but there's no U, and I'm changing that culture. There's no U in that acronym, and I was on that team in order to build it. The tiers. The tiers is simply in one of several economic tools that the city can use in order to enhance, bring up, or make better various areas and portions of city. the city. We've had some that's what you would call extremely successful. The most successful one is the one that used to be it's like Wayside and 45 and Wayside over there. The other one would be Upton Place, which is down from the Galleria. Those are the two most successful. And then we have some in between. So there is it's not a blanket, fix all, one size fit all, but there's other uses other than the tiers. We can use the, what we call the 380. And the 380 is an economic tool that the city uses, and on the county is 381.
Do these multiple layers of government ever prove to be more confusing and cumbersome?
Sometimes, because you have to look at again who's in charge,
Okay.
and when some people do better than others in regards to leadership. So you got some people that's serious and some kind of serious, and then they have some that's very serious, and they make it applicable to whatever the idea of that community, that particular culture that you want to.
Fair to say that it's more a question of execution than structure, perhaps?
Absolutely.
Okay. Alexis?
Thank you.
So how
Alexis,
so
you have
you
a
mentioned there's different economic tools in order to better the community.
Yes.
So what do you see in the District K that you can use certain economic tools, and what economic tools can you use to better enhance that community despite going through all the hardships with Harvey and the flooding and the infrastructure? So what do you think, how do you think you can tie in jobs with infrastructure, or how do you plan to?
Yeah. Again, I serve on those 3 boards with the city, and so I've seen like over $4 billion go through. I've seen the construction of the research center at Rice University and U of H, Texas Southern University, and Houston Baptist University, and some of the high schools are private schools. But what I'm trying to establish in District K is a medical corridor. Now it's very important, Alexis, because in that medical corridor, we have a north side of District K and a south side. And on the south side of District K, they're not closer to the medical center, and so we need that in terms of providing the construction there, the jobs, raising the streets up to the level they should be, and in addition to that, all fields in regards to medicine and the medical fields like nursing and all that. And they have a model. I'm a planner, and so we blog back and forth, and that model is already being executed in the Woodlands. They built 2 hospitals, and so I want to take that, not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I want to take that plan and use the tiers, which is tiers 25, tiers 9, and also the economic tool of the 380 tool.
Got to cut you off. You got it in there. Thank you, candidate Blackman. We'll take a brief break, and when we return, we'll visit with candidate Jerry Vanderlyn. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters, and this evening we're chatting with candidates for Houston City Council District K. With me is my colleague Alexis Ruiz. He's a student at the High School for Visual and Performing Arts and also a member of Mi Familia Vota's Emerging Leadership Program. Candidate Jerry Vanderlyn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native Houstonian, was born at Herman Hospital, lived most of my life close to District K. I went to Mark Twain Elementary, Pershing Junior High, Bel Air High School. These schools are now just outside of District K. I've been living inside District K for the last 4 years, but Southwest Houston has been my home for most of my life. And I graduated from the University of Houston, so I'm a Houston girl.
Could you tell us a little bit about your experience in government?
Well, I've had experience with a lot of different sectors. I've worked in human resources for the state of Texas. Back then it was called the Welfare Department, but so I have experience with that particular program from the government level. But I've also worked in nonprofits and the social services and done a lot of work there. And I've started several nonprofits myself and
What are those nonprofits? Can you share with us what those nonprofits are?
One of them no longer is in existence, but it was a nonprofit for women with unplanned pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really a wonderful program. And until 2001, when we had a flood and 911, and all the funding went to other places, and so that organization no longer exists.
You identify yourself as a conservative.
I do.
Socially conservative, economically conservative?
All of the above.
Give us an example of a conservative social program, an example of a conservative economic program at play in Houston right now, or one that you would like to see at play in Houston.
Actually, there are several I would like to see at play. One of them is something called time banking. And we used to do this all the time. You know, the women would get together and help each other make quilts. The men would help each other raise barns. We live in the 21st century, and so things are a little different. Time banking is a wonderful way to build community, and people earn time dollars doing things for their neighbors, and then you have a time dollar that you can then spend on something that you want to learn or do or access. So that's one. Around the world, there are a lot of micro-lending programs, and they jumpstart small businesses within a community. And so I'd like to look into doing that kind of thing here in District K. And then the third one, which just went right out of my head, but there are a number of different things where you bring the community together, and I love the concept. I love the networking. I love developing, you know, those interconnections. It makes for a stronger community. And I'm not going to say that you don't bring the government into it, because the government can provide stable administration and continuity on some of the programs where it's mostly volunteers that are doing the majority of the work. So, and as far as funding is concerned, there will be some conservatives that say, oh, we don't want federal funding, but federal funding is our money. It's our money that we sent up to Washington, and you know, they're just sending it back. Okay. And so,
Alexis, do you have a policy question for candidate Vanderlyn?
Yes, I do. Well, actually, so what will you do in order for the funds for the pond to actually be put at use? So, do you have any kind of policy behind that kind of action that you want to do? Like,
So which funds?
it says right here that upstream from District K is a retention pond project that has been fully funded for years but never started.
This has to do with flooding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you want to know how I would get that
Money to actually be put to use.
put to use? Well, first of all, I would have to figure out why it hasn't been done. One of the problems we have in Houston is that only the mayor can put something on the agenda, and it requires the mayor's approval to do a capital improvement project. So if the reason that money has not been spent is because the mayor has not approved it, then we have to work on the mayor.
Thank you.
Tell me, how do you think you would get along with other people on city council? Do you think you'd be a leader, or do you think you'd be a conciliator?
You know, I really like for everybody to get along and work together. This is very difficult when you have a lot of strong-willed people. And so it's a process by which you speak your mind politely, and you don't take anything personally, and you forgive regularly, sometimes every 3 minutes.
Candidate Jerry Van, thank you so much for joining us this
You're
evening. It
welcome.
was a pleasure speaking with you.
Uh-huh.
We'll be right back after a brief break, and we will visit with our next candidate, Martha Castex Tatum. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters. With me is high school student Alexis Ruiz. He's with Mi Familia Vota's Emerging Leadership Program. Tonight we're visiting with candidates for Houston City Council District K. Election Day is May the 5th. It's a special election to fill a vacancy in that district. Now we get to talk to candidate Martha Castex Tatum. Good evening.
Hello, how are you?
We're doing very well tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I'm Martha Castex Tatum. I'm running for Houston City Council. I was raised in what is now District K. My parents still live in the home that we lived in when I was 5 years old. One of the things I've loved to say on the since we've been campaigning is there is a special level of accountability when you can potentially be the council person for your mom and dad. They still live in our childhood home. I went to public school in District K, attended Grissom, Parker, and Welch, graduated from Lamar High School. I went on to Southwest Texas State, which is now Texas State University, where I was on a basketball scholarship, and I received my Bachelor's of Business Administration and my Master's of Public Administration from Texas State University. I lived in San Marcos for about 15 years. I believe in serving where you live. I ran for the San Marcos City Council in 2000. served on the San Marcos City Council. I actually unseated a 12-year incumbent in San Marcos and was the first African American female to serve in that city's history of the City Council. In the last year of my term of service in San Marcos, I was also the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. Moved back to Houston in 2005. Started working in Councilmember Green's office about 3 years ago. I always said when my son went to college I would want to get back into public service. So about 3 years ago I started working in Councilmember Green's office as the Director of Constituent Services. Had a wonderful opportunity to work alongside the council member and the staff there. As you both know, Councilmember Green laid an amazing footprint for District K as the first council member to represent that area. I'm looking to build upon that footprint and continue to move this district forward.
What's your top priority?
So the top priority would be to make sure that the people affected by Hurricane Harvey have the services that they need and that we improve the aging infrastructure in the district. I have a couple, but I know that there are people on the north side of our district that have suffered through 2, 3, some 4, and a couple people that we know of have gone through 5 instances of having their homes flooded. And it's a tremendous amount of stress and pressure. I want to make sure that their needs are met and they have what they need in order to rebuild if they want to rebuild throughout the district. And then, of course, public safety, making sure that we have enough officers in the area and that the officers actually and the firefighters have what they need so that we can continue to have a good quality of life in the district.
What committees would you like to serve on?
Well, TTI would be great. I think the Public Safety Committee would also be a good one to serve on as well.
Alexis, you have some questions.
So why, you said that you want to put more police in the neighborhood. Like, why do you think that's a good thing? And also, so you said right here that you wanted to invest into back into the community. So how would you do that without necessarily gentrifying the communities and not pushing certain people out?
Okay. So the first question about public safety. Public safety is important for quality of life. People want to feel safe in the areas that they live in. One of the really things that we tout about District K, it is the 3rd safest district in the city of Houston behind Kingwood and Memorial. And I think a lot of that has to do with not necessarily the quantity of officers, because I know we need more officers, but the quality of the officers. We really stress community policing throughout the district. The officers in the district are in the schools. They come to our monthly meetings, so the people in the neighborhoods know the officers that serve them. And I think that makes a big difference when we talk about public safety. They willingly give out their phone numbers and they make themselves accessible at our PIP meetings and our monthly civic club and HOA meetings. So I think that really helps for the residents to know the police officers that are serving them. So continuing that would be a great thing to do.
Thanks so much for joining us this evening, candidate Martha Cassex Tatum. We're going to take a brief break, and when we return, we'll visit with another candidate for Houston City Council District K. Stay with us. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters, and with me is high school student Alexis Ruiz with Mi Familia Vota's Emerging Leadership Program. Tonight we're visiting with candidates for Houston City Council District K. Special election to fill that seat is May the 5th. With us is candidate Lawrence McGaffey. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in the district. It has a special place in my heart. Then when I was around 14, my brother was killed. And that really kind of what set that energy off in me. You know, I wanted to be somebody that made a difference. You know, I didn't want to go down the same road he did. You know, I saw how the neighborhood was going. You know, there was gangs, there was crime. A lot of my friends was getting locked up, dropping out of school. And I wanted to make a difference. And so, you know, that's what kind of started me to really focusing on bettering myself. You know, so I was able to graduate at 16. I was homeschooled. And then I was able to go on and go to the military and serve my country. And then came back, I was able to work alongside homeless people and, you know, been all around Houston, talking to people and helping them to get their lives, you know, on track from Mississippi to Dallas and then again to Houston. So, you know, my life is all about helping other people, inspiring others, and that's what I hope to do as next city councilman.
So after having built up a considerable record of service, of community service, you're now ready to enter public service as a public official.
Yes, ma'am.
Why are you leaping into municipal government?
Well, it all starts locally. You know, local government is what affects communities. It's the closest thing you can get in politics to being at somebody's front doorstep. It's small enough to manage, and then you can get around and influence a small group of people and really put your heart into it. So I wanted to start somewhere small where I can really inspire people one-on-one, really get in and then kind of get my hands dirty with the district.
Everybody tonight is talking about flooding one way or the other. It is with us because the people in District K and throughout the city, throughout the county, have suffered tremendously over the past couple months. What is your flooding remediation program? We'll give that a pretty big umbrella so you can tell us what you'd like to do.
Well, we have to have a proper infrastructure plan, and mine focuses on green stormwater infrastructure. So that's making sure that our buildings and our roads are outfitted in such a way that it prevents flooding, it reduces flooding. You know, we're going to always have flooding because of where we're located. But we can take steps to reduce the amount of water and where the water goes, and then, you know, making sure we're taking care of our green spaces, making sure we're taking care of our parks, you know, all the things that we don't really think about on a day-to-day basis, but are very important when it comes to issues like flooding.
Alexis, you have a question?
Yes, sir. So I noticed that you mentioned growing up you were around a lot of violence, and you know there's been other candidates that have been mentioned about more policing, and I just wanted to hear how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a solution to the crime in the areas, more police or more police quality? You know, what do you think? How do you feel about that? Is that something that you want to implement?
Right. Well, I think we first have to have everybody more connected. You know, our neighbors have to be more connected. The schools that's in the neighborhood have to be more aware. Everybody has to be more unified. And right now we have a bunch of, you know, super neighborhoods. We have a bunch of civic associations that are not feeding off each other. They're kind of separated. And so we don't really have a good gauge of what's going on in the city, apart from, you know, pieces here, pieces there. And so the idea is to unify everyone together. So whether it be neighbors, whether it be bringing in surveillance, and then working with our local precincts and our cops, and making sure that everybody's on the same page. That way we can look out for each other and we can take care of each other.
How is District K unique in that respect?
What do you mean?
How is it different from the rest of Houston, or is it different from the rest of Houston? You talk about your District K being your home in a very personal way.
Yes.
What sets it apart from the rest of Houston?
It's a jewel because it has a lot of undeveloped land. It has the Willow Water Hole, which is coming up on the charts in Houston.
You better tell people what the Willow Water Hole is, just in case they don't know.
It's located right next to Westbury. And so it's a place where families can come out. We can have community events where you can have track events. You can have all kind of events where you can bring people together. And it's a place that I think should be more honored in Houston, where we should have more events, focus on what's going on in District K. But we have a lot of space and a lot of area where we can develop, bring in more businesses, bring in more innovation, bring in more trades, bring in more schools, bring in a lot more help for our elderly, and then a lot of space to work on with our schools and our young people.
So how would you combat that? How would you combat bringing in more business with gentrification? Like, would it be businesses from the community, or do you want to be bringing businesses from outside? So.
Well, the businesses have to be from the community. If they're not from the community, then the people don't get what they need. So if you focus on what the people in that community needs, then you can build around it. You can allow businesses to come in that fit the vision for the district, not just businesses come in just because there's space to buy up.
Let me ask you how you would function on the city council. Would you be a firebrand? Would you be a person who tries to build coalitions and alliances?
Right. Well, as you heard me mention, unity is a big thing. We cannot function properly as a government, as a city, as a neighborhood, as a civic association, as a school, as a family, as anything if we're not unified. If we don't have great leaders in there inspiring others to work together, then we can't really do much. So I'm working on building us together and inspiring others to do their part.
And among the Houston City Council, do you see any natural allies?
Everybody's ally because everybody has something to bring. Everybody can bring something special, their unique service, their experiences, and we can all work together to build something great.
Thanks so much for joining us this evening. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, another candidate for City Council District K. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right.
Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters. We're going to discuss various issues with candidates for Houston City Council District K. With me is my colleague asking questions, Alexis Ruiz, Mi Familia Votas ambassador for this evening from their Emerging Leadership Program, and also a student at the Houston High School for the Visual and Performing Arts. Our candidate right now is candidate Carl David Evans. Welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Carl David Evans. I am the president of the Fort Bend Houston Super Neighborhood Council. I have lived in District K for 40 years. Councilman Larry Green asked me to come over to Fort Bend to see whether or not they needed a president for the Super Neighborhood Council. The Super Neighborhood Council was dormant, they was ineffective, so he asked me to come over. I have been elected twice as the Super Neighborhood Council of Fort Bend Houston Super Neighborhood Council. When we started, we did not have one penny. After being president for 2 times, right now we are giving high school scholarships to the students in Fort Bend, Houston. We are awarding 12 scholarships to high school graduating seniors this year. I have been a fighter for our community for a very long time. I've been fighting on the outside. I'm asking the voters to elect me to be a fighter for them in the inside. I led the coalition to get a quality grocery store in Fort Bend, Houston. I work with communities, Southwest Houston 2000, where I'm on the board of directors there. I also work with Hiram Clark. I work with Westbury. I built a coalition where we work together as a team to try to get a quality grocery store. I believe that we deserve the best. We want District K to have a new brand, to be the best place to live, the best place to work, and the best place to play. My platform is very, very simple. I want to eliminate flooding. I believe flooding can be eliminated. If you can go to the moon, we can eliminate flooding. You may remember they said we was going to go to the moon. Many of us didn't believe that. But now we're going to the moon and we're talking about going to Mars. I believe that we can do that. In addition to that, I would like to improve public safety. Improve public safety, that is a community responsibility. A responsibility that where you will use the HPD officers, faith-based organizations and businesses. I believe that we can prevent crime. Let's prevent crime instead of apprehend criminals. Let's prevent crime. I would like an initiative where we would bring more policemen into the city. Right now, 80% of our police officers live out of the city. Why don't we incentivize them? Bring the police officers into your communities. That would do a couple of things. Number one, the community would know who the police officer is, and the police officer would know those citizens who live in that community. So many times right now when a policeman shows up on the scene, they see us as a stranger, we see them as a stranger because they don't know us and we don't know them. And most times when you see a stranger, what do you think of? What do you think of when you see a stranger?
Trust issues.
Trust? What do you? Danger, stranger danger. I think if we incentivize our police department and bring them back into the city, it would help prevent crime. It would also help boost our economic basis here in the city. Along with working with technology, I think that's a way that we can have real community policing by bringing them into the city. I believe in public safety. Out in the Fort Bend, Houston super neighborhood area, we had a problem with 911 calls. Many of you may have heard of that. I was responsible for getting logos placed on the traffic signs that help save lives when emergency responders would come. They would know that they are still in Houston, although I live in Missouri City with a Fort Bend County address, but I am in the city of Houston. So we had logos so the citizens would know that they are in Houston, as well as for the emergency responders.
That's a particular challenge in District K.
Absolutely.
Are there any other particular challenges in District K?
Well, there are some. One of them that I would like to see is quality grocery stores. We want to be the best place to live, learn, work, and play. I would like District K to have a brand. When you think of District K, you think of the best, excellence, the best place to live, the best place to learn, the best place to play. I would like to see quality grocery stores coming into our area, retail centers coming into our area. District K is known to have the third lowest crime rate in the city. I think that we can do better by working with our law enforcement agencies. There are some communities where crime is higher than other parts of District K, so I would like to see that. I would like to incentivize small businesses to make it easier to start your small business. There's so much red tape when it comes to small businesses. Let's make it easier for small businesses to get started. A lot of people have left Houston because they have been flooded 4 and 5 times. We must be serious about flooding.
Thank you, Candidate Evans. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We're going to take a brief break again. When we come back, the next candidate for Houston Council, District K. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters. We're chatting with candidates for Houston City Council District K this evening. And with us is candidate Elizabeth Johnson. Welcome.
Thank
and
you.
my colleague Alexis Ruiz will be asking questions. He's with the Mi Familia Vota Emerging Leadership Program. Tell us something about yourself, candidate Johnson.
Sure. So I'm a native Houstonian, grew up here in Houston, went to Lockhart Elementary, Johnston Middle School, which is in the district, and also the High School for Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. After high school, I went to Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I received my Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, and currently, oh goodness, in 9 days, I will be graduating with my master's in public administration from Texas Southern University. I've always worked in the community. After college, actually, I started working for Mayor Bill White when he ran for governor of Texas. I started off as a fellow, and then like within a week or two, I was joined onto the staff, and they moved me out to Dallas as a field organizer. So I've been working, behind the scenes in on campaigns and working with different organizations. So I consider myself a community organizer and a public servant.
What moves you to run for city council? As you point out, there are many ways. Just the strength of your resume and the other candidates we've spoken to this evening, there are many ways to serve the public. There are many ways to make a good, solid, lasting contribution to your community. Why have you chosen city council?
I think it's another platform or another way to really speak out for my community. I've been speaking up before in front of city council to different state reps on different issues that our community is facing, but honestly, as a millennial, I don't really see too many individuals that look like me or that kind of understands where we come from. So I think that's also why I'm running, to be a voice for those individuals.
What's unique about District K?
Well, District K, let's see, it was brought together in 2011. So of course we're a little different from the others, but the unique thing is that we are a united district, and we have to thank, Councilman Green for that. He definitely made sure that Fort Bend, Houston, and the other districts were definitely brought together and united. So that's what makes us great. We have super neighborhoods that actually work together. You don't really see that in a lot of other districts, so that's why I love it.
Alexis, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I noticed that you're a strong advocate for schools. So what specifically will you do to improve schools? Was it better teachers, better funding? What would you do?
Funding's a tricky one, but what I would really love, I noticed that in both Fort Bend ISD and HISD, a lot of our schools that are made up of minorities, for whatever reason, we don't have the correct training. We don't have the teachers there that actually are, what is the word I'm looking for? That they're not as valued as others. So I want that to occur, especially in Fort Bend, Houston. We have a huge issue with a lot of our elementary schools, the kids not being on the correct grade level. So that's an issue for me, to make sure that they're not just on their grade level, but above. So making sure that we do have, that we're not forgotten really, making sure that we do have quality administration as well as the teachers.
Think about how the Houston City Council functions. You mentioned that you're a behind-the-scenes worker. Do you see that you'll be functioning that way on Houston City Council, or are you going to be speaking in a more public way on behalf of your constituent K?
I think a little bit of both. I've always been, even though I'm behind the scenes, I still make sure that I'm very vocal in public. So it will be a little bit of both, making sure that I'm not going to just be passive when it comes to the issues that are, that District K is dealing with. Making sure to speak up and letting other council members know that this, whatever issue we're dealing with, that this is very important, but also making sure that we have an open door policy.
When we asked you our voters guide questions, you mentioned homeless encampments as being a particular problem in District K.
Yes.
Can you expand on that a little bit and let us know why it's particularly critical for District K to get this addressed, and how would you address it?
Well, along 610 near NRG, there are a lot of homeless individuals that camp out either under the bridges or along the freeways, along the grass. I've never really understood why we can't figure out something to do for our homeless individuals, because of course they're people as well. So what I've been looking into is there's a program, a village in Austin, Texas, where they've actually built a community. There's like an outdoor theater. They're able to work in that community. They're able to pick what homes they want to live in. So that's something that's really great. And with District K having a lot of undeveloped lands, looking into seeing what we can do to help these individuals out that way.
Alexis, is there something else you'd like to ask?
Yes. So you also mentioned a flood plan. So what would consist of the flood plan? Would you want to create more jobs for the community in order to rebuild the infrastructure? So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, making sure that we look into what we can do to make sure that our bayous hold more water than they are currently holding, so they're not going to overflood, making sure that a lot of our drainage systems are fixed. And of course, with anything, we have to I like to work in-house first. So making sure that we do find individuals, contractors within our community that are able to work. If we're not, worst case scenario, if we're not able to find anybody in the district, then of course going outside. But making sure that they understand that District K is, this is a priority, and we've been dealing with this for quite some time. So,
what of Larry Green's legacy would you like to carry forward?
The Clean It Up, Green It Up program that he started, I absolutely love. Within the community, we have a few community gardens, but I would really like to expand that so every single super neighborhood does have that, making sure that there's no illegal dumping, because there are parts of Houston or parts of District K where there's illegal dumping. And if there is, making sure that those individuals are reprimanded in the correct manner. Also, I would love to see a farmer's market, more farmer's markets within the district. I think that would be something great, and of course expanding on grocery stores within the district also.
Grocery stores seem
Quality
to be
grocery stores.
Quality grocery. What constitutes a quality grocery store?
Well, I live in Fort Bend, Houston, just as one of the other candidates, Carl David Evans, and we have, I'll say, the only store is Jovi's. So making sure that we have like a Kroger, an H-E-B, a Randall's. It's something that's so minor, but it's something that would be, extravagantly great for the community. So that's what I mean by quality grocery stores, not something that's like a stepchild's, but a place where everyone can go and will be proud to go to.
Thank you so much for joining us this
Thank
evening,
you.
Candidate Johnson. Please stay with us. In a few moments, we'll take a brief break, be back, and we'll have our last candidate of the evening for Houston City Council, District K. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters. With me tonight, Alexis Ruiz from the Houston High School for Visual and Performing Arts, and also a fellow of Mi Familia Vota's Emerging Leadership Program. We are with our last candidate for Houston City Council District K, last of this evening, Anthony Freddy. Welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a retiree of the City of Houston, a public servant to heart. I'm a person who loves District K, who have actually lived in District K, owned a home for 20 years. have the privilege to work under 5 city departments, being aviation, Houston Police Department, the Mayor's Office, Finance Administration, and Building Services. With that, I've had the opportunity to take and develop programs, including super neighborhood councils, work with community groups as the constituent services representative for the Houston Police Department under the public safety area, former district manager for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. So when it comes to constituent services, I understand what the constituents need. I also currently serve on the NAACP Economic Committee, the HISD HIPPY program, where I'm an advisor for the early childhood development, and the Northeast YMCA. Also have spent 20 plus years volunteering for the World Youth Foundation, assisting kids, making sure that they are active in the community through public policy, understanding that it's not just about how I see District K, but also what the constituents of District K wants and deserve.
Tell me a little bit, if you would, about quality of life in District K.
Quality of life District K is one that every citizen, constituent in District K enjoys living in District K, but we understand that there are some services such as infrastructure, homes or businesses that need addressing in terms of those that are vacant. I believe that when we talk about quality of life, we should have that conversation not just with the consumer in terms of the citizen, but also with the business owner. When we look at some of our business strip centers, we see that they're eyesores. We have to have that conversation with them to see where and how, what type of improvement we can actually assist them with. And then also with the quality of life for seniors. I know that they want to feel safe in terms of leaving out of their homes, walking up the street or going to the store or just visiting outside, meeting their neighbors.
Mm-hmm. How does the City Council properly address that?
The City Council properly addresses it one way, or in a number of ways, but one in particular ways, they address the 311 issues, which I help write the policies around 311 when it, in retrospect to the Houston Police Department. They address it by the citizens reporting their issues and then communicating with their council members that there is a quality of life issue or there's a 311 issue in terms of heavy trash, in terms of illegal trash dumping, or maybe just the fact that there's a home that is abandoned that needs addressing.
Mm-hmm. So these are issues that a city council member can take care of, can advance.
Those are issues that can be handled in a prospective time. Mm-hmm. Because
not a big policy issue, not a big philosophical issue, but the nuts and bolts and the gritty
nuts
part
and
of
bolts
government.
In terms of how city government works. If you have the relationship with the Public Works Department or you have the relationship with the Solid Waste Department, you can call, you can take and have your office manager or your district manager call those departments and say, hey, I have a citizen that has an issue. Can we look at it? Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. And that was my role in terms of being a problem solver with the Houston Police Department and the Neighborhood Protection Division to make sure that those type of issues were addressed and expediently.
One way or another, everybody's going to talk about flooding. Do you want to talk about that specifically as well?
Flooding for me is very important. Why is it important? Because I believe that we need to make sure that when we're talking about flooding, that we are using the systems that's in place, be it our storm sewers, the inlets, and even the culverts that are there. Are they properly sized? Are we actually sending the water into the right contributaries? Are we making sure? If not, then we need to make sure that we have the meetings with the Public Works, the county, the Corps of Engineers, and TCEQ to make sure that we are sending water to the proper channels.
An engineering issue or a policy issue? How does that play out for you?
I think it's both. I think in terms of engineering, it's structural, it's sizing. It's making sure that the developers put in the correct sizes. For policy, it's making sure that when we write our policies, that we write the policies with those specifics in terms of inlet sizes, in terms of storm sewer sizes.
I see. Alexis, you have a question?
Yeah, so I noticed that you're really involved with the youth. So how would you involve how would you get the youth to get active in the community and then continue to find solutions to all these conflicts that you are now facing with the community?
What I want to do with the youth, I want to bring the youth to the table and have that conversation with the youth, because I understand new millenniums have ideas. I don't carry all the ideas, but what I do want to do is to create a partnership both with the youth and with the businesses in the community, because I believe in when we bring partners together, we assist, we help each other. And so when we take those ideas from the youth and we take those partnerships with the businesses themselves wins, because they can assist the youth and the organizations that they are part of, 501c3, to grow, to be able to do bigger and better things.
I asked this question of a candidate earlier. I'll ask this of you now. What of Larry Green's legacy do you hope to carry forth if you're elected to city council?
Larry Green's legacy was a communicator. I'll bring that forward. I'll take that with me in terms of being a communicator and a listener, to make sure that the voice of the community, that they understand that they have, that I am that voice, that I'm the person that believes in results, that I'm the person that understands that city government, through its managing, through the mayor and through its other elected officials, that there's a vote there. I carry that one vote, but I carry the voice of the people. So I want them to know that I am that voice. I am that voice for their candidate, city council, for District K.
Alexis, do you have a quick question to wrap things up?
Yes, so I noticed that you also want to keep your community safe. So how would you do that? Would you implement more police or better police quality?
I had the privilege to work under Mayor Lee P. Brown. Mayor Lee P. Brown was the catalyst of community policing. I want to make sure that when we talk about issues in the neighborhoods, that we identify what those issues are neighborhood by neighborhood, not as a whole, but to actually identify those issues, be it breaking in cars, be it home break-ins or other, but we need to know where they are, what the time schedules are that they're happening, and then focus on those times to make sure that we have officers in those communities at that time to reduce those crimes in those communities.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Candidate Freddie. And thanks so much, everyone, for watching as we got to know a little bit about District K City Council candidates. Election Day is May the 5th. If you'd like to know more about the candidates, visit our interactive voters guide available at www.vote411.org. If you're not sure if you're a resident of District K and eligible to vote in this election, go have a look at this website, www.harrisvotes.com. Not only can you find out if you're a member of District K, you can actually see a sample ballot and find out where your polling place will be for Saturday's election. I'm Linda Cohn with the League of Women Voters. With me, Alexis Ruiz, representing Mi Familia Vota. Take good care and we'll chat again soon.